Jack Del Rio says, I would love to understand the whole story about why the summer of riots, looting, burning, and destruction of personal property is never discussed, but this is. And he's talking about January 6th. See, I have a different view on this. My view is you can talk about both. I've said this before, and my wife and I were talking about this last night. If somebody went in to overthrow the government, throw their ass in jail. It's literally that simple. But I'm only going to tell you about my town. My town in Indianapolis, our newspaper and our media are so afraid of being called an ish, so afraid of what Jack Del Rio is going through right now, which is you must apologize because you didn't say exactly what we think you should say. Well, in our town, there are all kind of rumors about what our mayor was doing when there were the riots of a couple years ago. And one of them was telling the police to stand down. Now, whether he was drinking, not drinking, that is all up for conjecture. We have not seen our mayor very often, and we certainly didn't see him then. But Jack Del Rio is not wrong here. Livelihoods were destroyed. Personal property was destroyed. Our downtown has not recovered. Now, I don't know about anybody else's downtown, but I do know this. You can certainly investigate and criticize both. I mean, it's not a one-stop shop. It's not like, hey, we can only talk about January 6th, but we can't talk about what happened downtown. And any reasonable person, black or white, will tell you that what happened, at least in downtown Indy, was inherently wrong. Here's where I got triggered on the whole thing. In fact, after one night of rioting, I went downtown. I gave people that were cleaning up water. I bought food from Potbellies. My kids came down, and we helped with the cleanup. What got me going was a white dude tearing off a street sign. The street sign was broke. It was one of those big street signs with a metal pole, no parking or whatever, and he fired it right through Harry and Izzy's front window. And I'm thinking to myself, you can kiss my ass saying this is a peaceful protest. I don't care what anybody's telling me. This is a flat-out frickin' riot, and Chris Beatty died during it. Chris Beatty was a guy I did not know, but he was a big Indiana guy, former football player. Because of the riots downtown Indy, there was robbery, and Chris went and tried to stop a robbery, got shot. By the way, Chris, African-American, man. You always have to preface this in the world that we live in. But Jack Del Rio, maybe, I guess, you might have to apologize for saying dust up, but any reasonable person, I don't care what Brian Mitchell, former Redskin player, said on his radio show about Del Rio being wrong and blah, 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 blah. He's undisciplined for saying the bull crap. They should investigate what the hell went on in downtown Indy. They should investigate what happened on January 6th, but do it honestly. Just do it honestly. I mean, if you go to Glenn Beck, there's a dude there that's been in jail for 13 months who literally says, anyway, we'll see, he walked right through the Capitol being led in by the police. Do it honestly. If somebody did lead an insurrection, put their ass in jail. If somebody is guilty of trying to overthrow the government, put their ass in jail. If somebody is guilty of destroying property downtown Indianapolis or in your city, put their ass in jail. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of any type of backlash. What's backlash? It lasts one day and then people move on to something else. But Jack Del Rio, in my opinion, if African-American players don't want to play for him, that's on them, not him. Because anybody reasonable would say, hey, look, we can investigate both. And if you don't like the word dust up, what can I tell you? Not everybody speaks the language you want, okay? Not everybody speaks how you want. Okay, he screwed that up, I guess. I don't know. But who cares whether he screwed a word up? But I live in a world where, I don't know, we seem to pay. I pay a blank ton of taxes. And I live in the city of Indianapolis. You're telling me we can't investigate what the hell happened downtown Indy 2 years ago? And we can't investigate what happened in Washington, D.C. December 6th and get justice for both? A lot of people did lose their businesses downtown Indy, still have. You walk downtown Indy, we've tricked you. I've told you this before. We tricked you during the NCAA tournament 2 years ago. People say, wow, downtown Indy's come back. I said, look at the actual stores. The actual stores are just paintings in the front. They're not actual stores. Downtown Indy's a mess. Period. And in my world, would love to understand the whole story. All right. Why the summer of riots, looting, burning, and destruction of personal property is never discussed. I would like to know that too, at least in my town. Maybe not in your town, but in my town. And you can do both. At least in my world, you can do both. Maybe not in yours. Maybe in your world, you only have to do one thing. Or maybe in your world, you're so afraid because African Americans will be mad at you for investigating. Not the ones that I know. The ones that I know are like, hey, man, I'm all for protests. And I've told you about this many, many times. I'm all for protests. All for it. Love a protest. But I ain't for looting. I'm not. And I'm not for a carte blanche for a destruction of property. I'm just tired of everybody apologizing. You know, Brian Mitchell's mad. Some defensive back is mad. Tough. Grow the hell up. If you want to be equal, if we all want to be equal, then treat each other equal. People are going to have different opinions. I mean, it's just that simple.